What's up, guys? I am recording here. This is maybe going to be a second take, kind of on this topic regarding maybe about, I don't know how to word this, like managing social relationships or just friendships, family relationships, when there's a time like now and everybody's kind of at each other's throats. Now I've kind of talked about some of my own efforts to kind of try and decrease some of the stress related to things, some of the pain related to things, and just, I don't know, like, I'm not trying to be like angry and irritable and like stressing out over all this stuff. Political wise, current event wise, I have kind of checked out from, most of society on those types of topics. How is it going? I would say it's not going well. But yesterday I kind of recorded a bit, and then I was like, let me wait on posting about that, the way that I recorded it, because it didn't, it was more, I was pretty irritated. But, it's almost the end of the month of February 2025. I've been off of my personal Instagram for almost a month now. I think it was the first of the month that I got off of Instagram or deactivated it, and sat on that for a while. Some people, I'm more into text conversations with them, which I like more, because at least I'm like, okay, as far as quality of information, I feel like there's more of like a catching up of, even if it's little things, versus like sending like memes back and forth that aren't really completely related to kind of like catching up on like what's been going on with people, with someone, with anybody. It's fun. It's like, okay, I watched this thing or I saw this clip or whatever, but I'm noticing the text, people don't tend to send as much of like sharing what they're viewing on social media. But another thing, people don't tend to send too much of like video clips, photos, things like that. Now, I like of things like events that they go to and stuff. Now, I usually, if I go to events and I take pictures or videos, I'll send them to the people who I want to have access to them. I don't usually post them on social media because I don't want everybody who's on my social media to know what I'm doing, or, certain posts are for certain people and other posts are for other people. And I usually separate it out that way. I rarely have things in my life where I'm like, I really want everybody to know about this. I'd say the exceptions would be hiking, snowboarding, or concerts. Those are usually 3 areas where I'm like, people know I do these things. I don't really care what they think about it, and I'll share that, if anything, but I don't really share all of it with everyone. I've been like that for a while. I used to post a lot of things on social media, but I didn't really like that. I guess certain family members would be like cool with it. Others would be like worried about me, or like, what are you doing at this type of place? Or if it was like church people, because there were always the freaking church people. Like, they'd be like, oh, like, this is where this person was at that time, at that place in time, you know, at that point in time, versus being at our event. Or like, you know, they'd be a little judgmental and nosy about it. And these are people that, like, maybe I'd see them at church, I'd have them on Facebook or whatever, but we don't really talk. Like, we never hung out at each other's houses. We never really made plans to, like, go and, like, hang out one-on-one or even in a social group and go do anything together. We basically just knew each other and saw each other at church and maybe interacted at church or church type of events. And I would have people like that kind of having access to kind of like my lifestyle, you know. And I wasn't even doing a lot of, like, I mean, compared to the things I do now, I mean, the stuff I was doing back when I used to post a lot on social media, it wasn't really, it was like anime expo, cosplay with friends, or like going out to ramen and stuff like that. Like, I wasn't really like drinking or doing much, but it was like, okay, maybe movies or certain events that they would maybe not find as like appealing to what they thought I should be doing. I didn't really like people involved in my life like that. Or I guess the biggest one for me was like certain friends didn't get invites to certain things. Like, that became hard for me after a while, because I don't know, I used to always invite mostly everybody, and then I realized there were a group of people who almost never could hang out or never responded, so I stopped inviting them, because I'm like, you never even respond, you know, you never even seem interested at all, like. And so I was like, well, let me not spend more energy adding them to the messages. And this was back when texting, I think it used to kind of cost some people some money. And so I couldn't really make a group text with, like, you know, a collegiate church group or something. Like, I would have to individually copy, paste, and text a lot of different people, you know, just be like, invite anybody, let me know. And you know, once I realized that a lot of people weren't really doing anything as far as connecting or anything, I was like, well, these people, I'm just going to stop inviting them, because they don't show up anyways. And it's like extra texting that I don't need to do. But I just wanted to make sure they knew they were invited and not really leave people out. I wasn't really playing favorites. And then there were other people who did want to join, and there were some people that were maybe like not good fits with one another, like some personalities with some anger issues or some, you know, issues that, you know, they would kind of come through, and instead of having like a peaceful Friday night, it would be like really stressful because people were like debating and arguing over the Bible or whatever it may be, or whatever topic we had for the evening. Some people just like to argue. Some people were just in a bad mood all the time. It was just, you know, people back in this time weren't really caring for their mental health, you know, so there were a lot of things going on. But that's, you know, kind of where I, for the most part, kind of stopped posting. Like, I guess I didn't really have Facebook until grad school. Some friends in my stats class, some colleagues and friends made me get one. On the break, they were like, make a Facebook account, and they kind of like set it up for me and everything, and like, I was like, okay, fine, because they wanted to like stay in touch and like, you know, interact more online. And so that's kind of how I got into Facebook, was with grad school, with a lot of people in my cohort. They kind of wanted to be connected and like learn about each other's lives and be kind of like interactive that way. So I kind of got into it. I think I was probably still on MySpace back then. But MySpace was all like mostly local friends, church friends, friends from other churches, um, you know, and that, all of that kind of eventually led me to just make different decisions about how I post online. Over time, I kind of learned that I think especially once mostly everybody's parents and a lot of the adults, the people who were older than me, like I guess I was still an adult, but like the people who were like older than me, like my parents' age, once they started getting on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, I was kind of like, okay, maybe I'll add these family members, but I kind of don't really want them knowing like what I do on the weekends or like whatever. So I kind of just stopped posting and made it so other people couldn't just post where I was. I'd have to like approve it because I didn't really want everyone knowing where I was all the time and people tagging me in locations and different people knowing like where I'm hanging out and stuff. I just wasn't comfortable with it because I'm like, I don't think everybody needs that information. If I want to say where I'm at or what I'm doing, that's cool, but I mean, I don't think everybody needs that information. And it would get to a point where people were like, oh, like you didn't invite me to this thing, and it's like, we have not talked in months, and the last times I invited you, you never responded, and I kind of forgot. It's like, that's kind of it. I would get a lot of that. Once I started getting those kind of messages too from like people who were like maybe friends, but we maybe weren't talking all the time or seeing each other all the time, but people I grew up with, people who I would consider friends. We're part of a friend group or multiple friend groups or overlapping social groups, and we're local people and different, like in a certain region in Southern California, and pretty much the area that's pretty much between maybe like Long Beach and Santa Monica. I would say I pretty much had a lot of, that was like the general distance of friends that I had, that I would consider like more local. And then I had the friends that were kind of up like out in the IE, and then I had the friends that were kind of like closer like downtown, and I had the friends that were like Hollywood, and the friends that were like the Valley. So I kind of, I mean, I like earlier on, I didn't really know a lot of people in San Diego, and I had the Orange County friends, and so it's like I had friends in different pockets, and when I try to go into different places, I would kind of try to meet up with different people or have a group get together or whatever, because I was like bopping all over Southern California, at least in the south part, but not so far south as San Diego necessarily, but like I said, Long Beach to Santa Monica for the most part, and then outside of that it would be like downtown Hollywood, Valley, or IE, like kind of on more rare occasions, but I'd be up in those areas like at least a few times a year. Maybe, yeah, once every 6 months or so. And there was a time where I used to go to church in Hollywood almost weekly or every other week or something. But yeah, I don't know. Like I kind of just learned my lesson that social media isn't always totally for me. Not the way that everybody else uses it. I like to look at other people's posts, but I didn't really like the experience that I had with people's engagement with my posts. It was kind of like, I don't really want everybody knowing this, or like the people I was engaged with in my life weren't really people that it's not that I didn't want them on my social media, I just didn't want them, all of them, always that involved. I just felt like it was like I needed more space from that. And so, after being on for like a really long time, I've kind of noticed, with the current climate of things, it things just are spinning out of control. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about that. that experience, because it hasn't been a good experience. And that's why I was like, I don't want to be online as much. I don't remember exactly when I started feeling that way, but I know during the fires I was definitely like, I need to definitely limit my news consumption and my current events kind of consumption for sure. Like, I burned out after like a few days of that, and I was still worrying and the fires were going on. When it first started raining, I was like, well, for that weekend or whatever, 2-3 days when it first rained, the first rain of this year of 2025 in LA, I was stressed. I was having a really rough time. I'd had a really fun time on the 31st of January going to a great birthday party, but after that, the hangover from that night, as well as just the next day, just feeling so crappy on the 1st of February, and just being still kind of like the aftermath of still not being fully settled with the situation with the fires, and just the content I was consuming that was kind of staggered, because when people podcast, a lot of times they record and then they'll post like maybe 1 or 2 weeks later. And LA has a lot of content creators, so a lot of the content I follow is out of LA. And so not only was it just that, but like when I was going on Instagram, there were definitely a lot of news posts. I started noticing that there were news clips, like actual news, and I was able to filter that out. And then I was noticing that there was actual other news. I guess that's where I drew the line, was when I heard a few stories that I was like, what's really happening? Because people were saying like, oh, these different government officials, or like, this is a new like rule that's like rolled out, or these people got detained or something like that. And I was like, when I tried to look into some stories, there were like 3 of them back to back that I was like, well, this sounds like major news. I should be able to find it. I wasn't able to find it. It was just kind of like this loop of like, this is a story that exists about these people doing this or that, or like this, there's been news about this, but I'm like, but where's the actual article, or where's the actual story or footage? Like, I want to know the details of what actually happened. And I was like, okay, so maybe this first one I can't find. And then I looked for the second one, then I looked for the third one, and I was like, how come none of these are online? And I'm like, this might not be accurate. And how much time did I spend? Like an hour trying to find like the proof of the stories. And I was just like, you know what? I was worrying, because whatever the headline was, I was like, well, I'm in a category where this might affect. So let me see like how urgent I need to kind of like be about this. When I couldn't find the stories and I couldn't find the information, I was like, well, how many of these stories am I coming across on Instagram that aren't real, or are fabricated, or are just like for clicks, or whatever it might be? And so I was like, let me just back off of this, because it wasn't only that. It was like friends posting stuff about their lives. It was like depressing. And, when you doom scroll, it's like, usually the point is to get happy from it, or some exciting thing. And I remember like doom scrolling through Instagram and being like, well, none of this is fun, or most of this, or a lot of it is not fun content. I don't want to click on any of it, because it was like burning buildings, fires, people upset about some news stories. And then every now and then it would be like, oh, look, somebody like is posting selfies like at a brunch or something, like. But the majority of it was like just stuff that I just didn't want to see, and I couldn't filter it out. And not only was it that, it was people that I knew, friends that I have, that were posting stuff that I was like, I want to see your pictures at brunch, or your pictures at the beach, or your pictures snowboarding. I want to see your videos and your pictures of stuff that you're doing, and how you're spending your time and money and energy when you're not working or doing other demands of life. Like, how are you spending your leisure time? That's what I'm interested in, is what are my friends doing for fun? I want to see people having fun, or even just the people I follow online having fun. And when I realized I wasn't seeing that, or that was mixed in with all the other stuff, as well as stories that I couldn't find proof of, I was kind of like, I'm just not into this anymore. So I told everybody, for the most part, most people that I talked to, I was like, I'm not going to be on Instagram, deactivating it. I don't know for how long, but if you want to message me, here's my number, making sure you have it, and just text me anytime, whatever. And it was hard to do. It took me quite a few days to kind of come down from that experience, because I was like, whoa, what am I doing? But you can just easily reactivate. It's not you just have to log in and then you're back where you started. So I'm like, well, minimum risk. But I did get to catch up with some people who were just kind of like, are you good? What's up? Are you okay? And I'm like, I will be okay. Once I can kind of get my head on, more solidly. And then the unexpected happened, which was basically a lot of people I know just continuing the deep dive and disrupting other people's lives. And so I've heard a lot about that. And that's the part where I'm at now, where I'm like, okay, I know some friends, some family who are no longer talking to each other, who hate each other now because, people have debated about certain hot, issues and don't see eye to eye. And, one person or both people are 5 family members are against 3 family members or something like that. And it's now these people are fighting on Facebook, on each other's walls in public, and trying to call each other out on all these political, opinions and things. I have family of various races or ethnicities, but I'd say most of my family members are either black or white. And I have some family members that are white that maybe are very outspoken and see things one way. I have some family members that are black that are also kind of outspoken and see things another way. And it's not only that, there's other things in addition to that, But I started noticing that within my family, within different groups of people that I socialize with, and I'm like, oh no. And so now, I guess what my issue has been this week is, or within the last week, not just this week, as in it's only Wednesday right now, but, within the last 7 days or so, has been mostly, people pulling me into it. I mean, I don't mind if people just want to chat about their experiences with it all. If they have a solution that they feel like is going to work, cool. If people just want to chat about what they're trying or whatever, I don't really mind that. If they're like, I need some peace with this, this is my game plan, cool, I get that. But when it's more I hate this person, so-and-so said this and that to me, can you believe what they said? Let me read you every single thing that they wrote and get your opinion off of it. I'm like, bro, I have exited from this on purpose. I do not want other people reading me threads of family members' posts or whatever the hell. I don't want to know any of that. I don't want to know. You guys are fighting with each other. Don't tell me about it. You guys decided this is how you want to interact. I have decided I don't want to interact like that. I've decided I don't want to argue with people online. I don't want to debate with people that I don't know. I don't want to debate with people that I do know. I will keep my opinions for the most part to myself. And if I do want to actually take any sort of action, I will involve myself in some kind of group or some kind of meeting or some kind of something that's starting, to help. For example, instead of watching content about the fires, where can I donate money? Where can I take, if I have used clothes that are clean and I don't really use them anymore, where can I donate clothing? Let me go take the clothing to the drop-off site. Let me go, take canned goods, to places, or, that's what I want to know. Is like, what can I do action oriented? Even if it's not fire victims, any other topic, if it's something that I'm like, I want to, be a part of supporting this, I will take action to support it. I don't need to be online arguing with people about it. That's not productive. If somebody wants to talk to me about, whatever the topic may be of the day, the DEI or whatever, like, okay, what are we actually doing about these things? Are you just fighting with people on the internet about it? Or are you actually doing something that's actually making movements, that's actually like showing this is what I believe? Stop talking about it. That's kind of my opinion, is don't talk about all the stuff that you believe. Go do what you believe. Go do it. Go practice it. Be out there. If you think, even if it's something that I would not agree with, that you would want to do, I would say go take action to do that. I'm not saying go, harass people, but if you do or don't believe in abortions or something like that, go and either try to do what you need to do on the opposing side or try to do what you want to do on the pro side. Put action into it. Don't just go online and start arguing with everybody about what you do believe, like, opposing or, pro. What's the point? Okay, you found a bunch of people who are pro and you're opposing to that. So you want to spend hours online finding people that you don't even know who commented on some kind of post of somebody who posted something. Maybe you follow the person who posted it and you just go through all the comments and start fighting with random people that you've never met or seen, and you don't know these people at all. Or if it's the other way around, swapped, you believe one way and you're fighting against the other direction. I mean, you can do that for weeks and months. What good is that going to do? All you're doing is stating your opinions, trying to poke holes in other people's opinions. Nobody's listening. Everybody's getting mad. That doesn't do anything. You're not doing anything. It feels like you're doing something, but you're not. It's almost like when somebody wants to start a business, and instead of starting the business and getting to the point of when they're like at least posting online what they want to sell or have products or making products and like posting them online, they never get to that point of posting it on their online store. They spend all the time making business cards and logos. They spend all this time on their website. They spend all this time like learning all this different software of how to do it. It could be like 6 months later and you haven't posted anything that you're even going to sell. You're not making any action. You're just in the background. And there is going to be that background part where you will always have to do the research and like build up the back end of things. These types of things are the same thing. You're always going to have to like learn and like research and like formulate opinions and ideas. But once you get to that point, don't go online and start fighting with people about it. Once you know what you think and believe, put it into action. Arguing online is not putting it into action. It feels like action, just like changing your logo every other week feels like you're acting on something if you have a business that you're starting. But if you haven't even tried to sell anything, are you even in business? You haven't even posted anything in a place where anybody could even try to find it to see it. You're not even in business. If you really are convicted of what you believe, You're not going to sit online and fight about it all day. I mean, that's the most pointless way of, expressing and trying to, be part of a cause, is just to sit online and fight with random strangers, or even worse, fight with your friends and family. Somebody sent the other day, Super Bowl Sunday, I use certain days like holidays and things to reach out to people. I consider Super Bowl to be a holiday in a way, because everybody's kind of like, it's something that we will have in common. A lot of people are tuning in. It's easy to be like, hey, like, well, how's your Super Bowl going? Are you watching the game? Are you ordering wings and pizza? Like, drinking some beers or some non-alcoholic beers? Are you taking that time to go to the gym and you're skipping the game? Like, how are you spending Super Bowl? What's up? I want to know. I'm curious to know how you're spending your time, because I care. If I care about you, I'm going to want to know what you're doing, Some people couldn't care less about sports, and I get it. And, cool. If you don't care, you don't care. If you do care, cool. I want to know what you're up to. Good friend of mine, Super Bowl, hadn't really talked to this person in a little bit. And I'm like, hey, I wonder what they're up to. I know they like sports. Let me just shout out to you. Like, I want to talk, and not like some deep conversation, but like, just, hey, like, you watching the game? Are you having a good time? You're going to see, what are you doing with this game situation? Are you watching it? You throwing a party? Like, hopefully you have a good time with the Super Bowl with your friends and family, just wishing them a good time. We kind of reconnect a little bit, and it's fun. It's nice. I'm like, okay. I just kind of explain, like, I've been offline a little bit, but just want to say hi, happy Super Bowl kind of thing. Been offline because it's getting kind of crazy on there, but hopefully you're doing good. And like, yeah, we're doing, I'm doing good. And we're both doing good. Okay, cool. I'm glad we checked in. Glad you're doing well. A couple days later, I get a message from a friend who has screenshotted something that friend I was catching up about Super Bowl with had screenshotted some very hateful, very negative message that the person that we are both friends with, that I was checking in with on Super Bowl, was saying, like, about a category of people that I belong to, as well as this other friend who was sharing this screenshot with me, because I'm not on Instagram, so I didn't see the post. And then I sit wondering, how do I feel about this? I'm disappointed. Usually this person on Instagram, they are always posting positive therapeutic things. I've never seen them post any other thing. So I'm a little shocked that I'm learning that this person posted this about a category of people I belong to. It wasn't like a racial thing, but let's say, for example, this person was like, F you to all the black people. Let's just say that's what their comment was, and I'm a black person. And say this other friend who was bringing awareness to me about this post was also a black person. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that they felt that way. I just checked in with this person at Super Bowl, and we were friendly, and we've been friends for years at this point. How am I supposed to feel about this person now that I know that they hate black people? Stuff like that. It's like, okay, I thought we were friends. You never said that you had a problem. We never talked about this face to face. I thought we were friends all these years. Where does this friendship stand if I know now that you feel this way? But do I bring this up? Do I say, hey, I know I'm not on Instagram, but somebody else screenshotted to me what you said. Do you want to meet up and hang out and we can talk? Is that what I say? Or do I leave it alone? Do I just say, oh, they're posting on Instagram, they're pissed off about some random thing, and I just let it go, right? What do you do in a situation like that? When you find out that there's some person that you are friends with, that you catch up with from time to time, and they seem to want to stay in touch, but now they're spreading hateful messages about a group of people that you belong to. And I'm not saying that this person even said anything about black people. I'm just saying it would be almost like if you put yourself, even change it from black people. Say if it's like this person hates Republicans. I'm not whatever. But let's say this person hates Republicans, or this person hates, some religious group, and they're just saying F you to this category of people. And if I belong to that category of people, how am I supposed to feel? And do they know that I belong to that category of people, or do they just not think about it? And they're just like, well, I'm mad about this category of people. But I'm like, but we just talked the other day, and we were friendly, and we've always been friends, and we've never had any like ill will toward one another. And this is the kind of situation that I'm like, what do you do with things like that? When you see friends or family are posting things that are about a category that you belong to, or a category that you value, or some kind of thing that you belong to or value, and they're completely opposing to either your values or your category that you belong to or whatever. And they're not even talking to you face to face. They're not talking to you face to face about this. They're just putting it up on they're just posting it on social media as if everybody's going to like it, or what's the intention? Do they want people to agree? So now you see all the people that are liking the post, and you're like, oh shoot, now there's like 18 of my other friends in here that like that post. Do they all hate black people too? And it's just like, wait, what's going on here? And I mean, I never looked back into it or anything, but that's one example of many that I'm like, okay, like, where do I go with a situation like that? Do you ignore it and just move on and be like, act like, if I were to come across this person this coming weekend, which I doubt I will, but say this person hits me up and they're like, hey, I'm going to be in your area. Let's have lunch on Saturday. What do I say? I'm like, oh, like I saw that you posted that you hate black people. So can we still eat together now? Like what's supposed to happen now? Do you bring it up and have some kind of weird conversation? Or what? Do you leave it alone? Do you stop talking to this person? Am I now mad at this person? I mean, if it wasn't for social media, if it wasn't for Instagram, I wouldn't even know how this person felt. And if it wasn't for the other person sending me this post, I never would have known at all, because I didn't see it firsthand. I'm getting secondhand screenshot. That's one scenario. I don't know what to do with stuff like that. I don't want to know stuff like that necessarily, but I also, even more, if I do find out, because I'm figuring it out now that I can't avoid it, because everybody now who knows that I'm tuned out from it is kind of bringing it to my attention and bringing it to my awareness what other people are saying. So to some extent, I'm bonding more with people who are maybe of similar categories to myself, but then questioning my relationships with other people who are not, who I'm finding out are like opposing to different categories that I belong to or different things that I value, and they're being very vocal and mean and rude and hateful on the internet about it, and they're frustrated, and I get it, but I'm like, why aren't we talking to each other? We always talk to each other. So why aren't we talking? Why are they posting on their social media and having all these debates in their comments versus, hey, I know somebody who's in this category. Let me call them up and have a conversation on the phone, or let me go out to lunch with them and we can talk face to face and like as friends, as we always have done. If we've ever had an issue, we've talked about it. It's never been this whole like, oh, I hate this whole category of people, It's just crazy to me. And that's just one situation. There have been others. And I'm like, I don't even know how to really handle them. I've told pretty much everybody, like I said, that I don't want anything to do with all this stuff. on that I won't be online. But I didn't really think that I was going to get into a place where now people are dragging me into their arguments. I had somebody the other day call me, friend of mine, tell me to call them. I'm like eating lunch in my car, about to go into the library and get some work done. And I'm like, all right, I'll consider this part of my lunch break. I can give them like 20 minutes. They don't say what they want to talk about. And I'm like, fine, I'll call. So I finish eating my lunch, roll down the windows a little bit, give them a call. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Hopefully you're good. First thing they want to say to me, I know you're black, and I've been in this argument with some other person online who's black. Now, this person I'm talking to on the phone is not a black person. They want to read to me all of a post that somebody on Facebook wrote. I tell them, look, I've already backed out of reading everybody's comments or wall posts or whatever. I'm not even like trying to engage with this. I still have my Facebook, but I only really check Messenger. And then a couple of my friends that do athletic stuff, I try to like check their stuff and quickly scroll past all the other nonsense to just not hopefully see any of it. Sometimes I literally cover the phone while I'm just typing in the person's name so that I can only go to their section. So how would you respond to this? Whatever race you are, think of whatever race you are. I'm black, so this, but insert your race here, whatever race you are. You have somebody call you and say, they're in this random argument with somebody online. I say, I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to know. Honestly, if I were rude and wanted to be more disrespectful, I could have just hung up the phone on this person, because that was pretty much what I wanted to do. But they call me, and I call them, they take the call, and they're like, well, I wanted to talk to you because you're black, and I was online with a friend of mine arguing with this other black person, and this person who I'm talking to on the phone is not a black person. And I'm thinking like, oh gosh, here we go. It's going to be another one of these kind of conversations that I don't want. So I try to set the boundary and say, I don't want to talk about this. I've already told you that I don't want to talk about this. I've already told everybody that. So first of all, they should not be asking me to talk on the phone with them about this. That's already, boundary one crossed. This person does have very poor boundaries, by the way. And part of it's on me because I let it go. I didn't hang up the phone. I let the conversation go. They're trying to engage me in this, what I consider a stupid conversation, but they're trying to engage me in this conversation. And I'm like, this is stupid. I don't want to talk about this. I already told you I don't want to talk about this. I'm not talking politics. I'm not talking about any of this stuff. They continue. Well, I know you're black and they're black, so let me read to you what they wrote, what this black person wrote, and then I'll read to you my response. And I'm already saying, like, I think you're wrong for arguing. If you said that this is a friend of yours, why do you want to fight and argue? But they're so heated, they can't even hear me. They're just like, bulldoze this conversation because I got you on the phone. And so now I'm going to bulldoze this conversation, disrespect your boundaries, and keep talking. So in my head, I'm like, this is BS, but, I'll let you get away with it this once. And just like, fine, just say whatever it is that you've got to say, but I'm busy. I'm going to go to the library. I've got other stuff to do that's way more productive than this conversation. Because what's the intent? To get me mad? Like, why would you even call me when I already said that I don't want to talk politics? Or why would you want to talk to me about politics on the phone? Have me call you when I already said I don't want to talk about it. Don't engage me in this conversation. Don't pull me into your BS. Don't talk to me about this kind of stuff. It's pointless. It's stupid. It's a waste of energy and time. I lose sleep over this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I don't want to think about it, but I let the conversation go on because I'm like, okay, read to me the stupid thing that me as a black person, let me hear what your other black friend has to say. It's some conversation about reparations. They want reparations for slavery. Of course, my friend who's not black does not like this idea and gets mad about it. And I'm thinking, like, are you even listening to the things that your black friend is saying on the internet? No, you're not listening. You're trying to argue and fight. And then they read to me what they write about opposing that black people should get reparations. And, there's more to the conversation. I don't really want to hear this and I don't want to talk about it. And they keep on going and going and going. And eventually I have to end the conversation because I'm like, this is stupid. And I don't want to talk about this. Don't talk to me about it anymore. Don't call me about it anymore. And I basically said, unless people are actually willing to put your money where your mouth is, to put your action where your mouth is, I don't want to hear what you're saying on Facebook or what they're writing on Facebook. If you're just text fighting on the internet, I consider you to be a fraud. You're not really actually convicted of what you actually believe enough to actually take action and go do something about it. If you don't think black people should get reparations, go join a group and do something activist-wise to make sure that it doesn't happen. If you're a black person and you think that black people should get reparations, stop fighting with the non-black people or whoever on the internet about it and go join a group and do some activist types of tasks that promote black people getting reparations. Stop fighting about it on the internet. What do you want me to do? I don't want to join your conversation. I don't want to join this conversation. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to be a part of your argument. I don't want to be a part of it at all. And, that's kind of where I stand with things. And that's going to be my message to pretty much everybody. If you want to pull me into your conversations, don't pull me into it if you haven't taken any action. If you're stuck on the action part and you want to talk, hey, I joined this group and we're supposed to be posting up flyers in this neighborhood, but the person who wants to pick me up, I think they don't actually believe in it enough, which is why they always make it so that we show up late and then we never get the flyers. And so now this other section of the city isn't getting the flyers handed out because we're getting there too late because this other person can't get their schedule together and actually give me the ride on time so that I can actually do my part. Or who knows? That's a stupid example, but I'm just saying, if that's what you want to talk about, let's problem solve how you can get your ride so that you can get these flyers out that are so important to you. I don't want to talk about your stupid Facebook arguments or your Instagram stupid posts or any of that. I want to talk about the action that you're taking. If you're not taking action, sorry, we're not having a conversation because you're not convicted. You don't believe in it. If you just want to fight and be mad and argue, you don't really believe if you're not taking action. Would you say that a person who's part of a religion that doesn't do any of it ever, other than just goes on the internet and fights with other religious people saying that their religion is wrong, but they don't even practice their religion, would you listen to that person? If you're Muslim and or whatever, if you're Christian and there's a Muslim person that doesn't practice any of the 5 pillars ever, doesn't even know what they are and doesn't even try, but they're coming at you saying that Christianity is fake and is wrong and it's bad and you're false, but they just want to argue about that, and then you try to ask them about their lifestyle and they're not involved in any way in the religion of Islam, and they are not even trying or even learning about their religion. Are you really going to take their comments seriously when they're attacking your Christianity and they're a Muslim person, or even the other way around, you're, whatever category. I'm not trying to make an argument about even the categories that you should or shouldn't belong to. I'm saying any side, even if you oppose completely to how I believe or how I live my life, even if you're on the opposing side, and we should technically be, I don't want to call it enemies, but say, in theory, we should be enemies because we don't believe the same or value the same things. And I don't believe that people should be enemies because of that, but I'm just saying, say if we're on opposing sides, right? We're on opposing sides, but one person is taking action and the other person is just talk, yip, yapping, that person's opinions really valid if they don't want to put in any actual energy of action? Because I could see it on the religious side, because I was raised pretty religious, and when people want to debate religion, it's like, okay, well, what do you actually practice? What do you actually do? If you don't practice your religion, or you don't even know what your religion's teaching, or you don't even know kind of like what it is, what your religion's about, but you want to fight other people on their religion, like, why would somebody even listen to that person in a religious debate if they don't even know how to do it? They don't even know how to do their own religion, but they want to fight you on yours. If there's somebody with political views that they don't even want to take action on what they believe in, then why are you even listening to these people? Like, why are people on the internet fighting about things when they're not even taking any action? Like, this is stupid. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But that's pretty much my response to people. If they want to talk about any of this stuff, don't send me memes. Don't send me anything that anybody's arguing about. What's your action step? Tell me what you've done as your first step of action. And if you haven't even done anything, please don't talk to me about it. Or if you're even maybe thinking about doing something action-wise, even if you're having a view that's completely opposing to mine, I'm willing to talk about it. Even if it's something that I'm like, I don't support that, but you want to talk to me about how you can be part of some kind of group that's helping these people. Like, for example, I don't know. Because I'm not really putting my opinions and views out there so much. If you listen on here long enough, you could probably deduct, where I stand on a lot of things. But let's just take an example of harm reduction with substances. Some people don't like the clinics that give out free needles that are clean for people to use the drugs because they don't want them doing the drugs anyways. But the people who will do the drugs are going to do them in a less safe way if they can't afford the needles. And that less safe version that they're using is going to affect your local community. Now I'm not going to argue one side or the other. But say if you believe in the free clean needles program, why aren't you out there trying to make sure people have access to these free clean needles? Making sure there's awareness about it, making sure people know how to get there. You're on the street walking around where people use. Don't put yourself in harm's way, but I'm just saying, if you really, really, really believe it, you're going to do something about it. You're going to be out there. You're not going to be on Facebook and Instagram yapping around about it. You're going to actually be out there. You've seen the needles before. You know what the clean needles look like. You've seen them. You've touched unopened packages of them before, maybe even, or at least you've been in a group of people who have distributed them or interacted with the part of the public that is picking them up, or you're registering people to get some kind of a, I don't know, like you're signing them in or something so that they can go and pick up their free needles. I don't know. you're putting in action. Or if you're on the other side, the opposing side, you're trying to get the site shut down. You know, right? That's what that looks like. You're actually volunteering your time and energy or paying money into it, into what you believe. You're not on the internet fighting with people. That doesn't prove that you believe something if you're not actually doing it. I believe that politics are religious. I believe it's the same thing. That's my belief, that politics and religion are the same thing. You have a belief system that you hold to, that you have faith in, that you believe in. But if you're doing it with no action, then you're not really actually doing it. You're just fighting and arguing and creating chaos. That is meaningless. That's completely meaningless. You know, if I told you I was part of some new religion that I converted to, but I'm not doing any of it, and all I'm doing is going back and like fighting with the people from the religion that I left, you'd be like, you're nuts. You're not really this religion. Are you really? Can you really call yourself that if you're not doing it? No, you can't. If you're not taking any action, you can't do anything. You're not doing anything. You're not doing anything productive. You're wasting energy, you're wasting breath, you're upsetting people, yes, but just because you're getting under somebody's skin doesn't mean that you're actually putting in action. That's not actual action. You're not helping to promote anything that you actually believe. If you're just putting it in words on the internet, in a public space so people can fight with you about it, or like your posts, or agree with it, or put a heart, or whatever it is that you're looking for, I can no longer respect people's methods if they're not putting in action. If you're not putting your money in your action where your mouth is, I don't think you actually are convicted enough. I don't think you actually believe. I just think you're angry and you want to spread hatred and anger. And that's what I'm seeing. There's that. That's mostly what people want to do, is spread their frustration and hatred and anger, but they don't want to do the work. They don't want to volunteer their time or energy. They don't want to do that. And maybe people are, and I just don't know, but I doubt it, because I've asked people. I've been asking people who want to start these arguments with me, and I'm not even online, and they want to talk to me about it, and I'm like, I'm not even engaging in this anymore. You know, I'll give you my opinion as far as emotionally how this affects me. I'll give you my opinion as far as, you know, how, you know, I want to connect with people as far as our friendships and things are concerned. But other than that, it's like, you know, that's going to be my response to everybody. If people want to talk to me on the phone about their, you know, Facebook fights or whatever, the next thing I'm going to ask you is, okay, this is what you believe. You believe black people shouldn't get reparations. Tell me what you have on your calendar that shows that you're actually going to put in action, that you are going to make sure black people don't get reparations. If it's not on your calendar, or you're not even looking into groups, then sorry, it's BS. You don't really believe it. You don't really believe it enough to act. You don't really believe it enough to put in action to make sure that the black people don't get reparations, or the other way around, you know. And I'm talking non-violent, you know. I'm not talking like go and like take some kind of violent action because of your beliefs, but take some type of safe action and advocate for what you believe in, you know. I'm not saying black people shouldn't get reparations. I'm not saying that people shouldn't get clean meals. I'm not saying any of that. And I know that some people can't even see past that part of a conversation, where they can't even just listen. But that's my view. If you can't take action, you're a fraud. You know, if you've never taken action, you're a fraud, you know. You're not actually a believer in what you say. You're faking it. You're completely faking it. You're not even, you know, actually believing enough, you don't really have faith in what you believe in if you're not putting it in action. I don't consider social media posts to be action. It's not action, because it's not going to lead to one policy being either removed or put into place. If I'm arguing with my friends, how's that going to make it so that some bill gets passed or not? It's not. If I'm not out there doing something about it and I'm spending all that energy on the internet, people need to think about it. They need to think about it more clearly. This method is very flawed. It's not good. It's not helpful. I mean, think of how many negative, hateful, hurtful things you've even said to friends or family, or how those people feel reading the stuff that you write. Think about, do I know any people in this category that I'm attacking right now? I mean, people don't even care about each other anymore. They only care about their ideas and posting their ideas. But I'm not interested in people's ideas. I'm interested in their actions. If they're not acting, then I don't want to talk about it. Like, don't bring me into it if you're not actually taking action. I don't want to hear anything about what you have to say. If you're not taking action, I will not consider you to be faithfully believing in what you actually say you believe in, and whatever you label yourself as, you're not really that if you're not doing anything. If you say you're a Christian and you don't practice any of the tenets of Christianity, if you say you are Muslim and you don't follow the 5 pillars of Islam or even know what they are, if you say you are Jewish as a religious Jewish person and you don't believe in the Torah, it's like, well, what are we even talking about? If you say you're Republican and you don't, take action on what Republicans believe in any way, you're not a Republican. If you say you're a Democrat and you don't take action, you're not a Democrat. You're not. You're taking on the name because you like the label and it sounds fun and cool. But if you just believe it and you're not putting in any action at all, then you're not really what you say you are. And I think a lot of people are more interested in posting hateful things and engaging online like that and seeing what people engage with when they post. They're way more interested in that than taking that energy out onto the streets and putting things into action. That's harder, and that's commitment, and that is what people aren't wanting to do. They want to sit on the internet because that's easy. It's easy just to I'm frustrated with this. Let me just put this up because it's going to put a jab at these people that I'm frustrated with, and post it and then come back and maybe check it later and see what people have to say. And then anyone who opposes what I posted, I'm going to put in more energy to fight and argue to prove that they're wrong for this reason or that reason or that reason or this reason. 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 days go by. You have not stepped outside of your house to put in any action. All you've done is tweet, or whatever it is, I don't really consider that, real commitment. Let's be real, guys. It's not commitment. In any other category, if somebody told you that that's what they label themselves as and they weren't taking any action, you'd be like, oh, okay. If I said I play lacrosse because I was watching a bunch of videos on YouTube and I'm a lacrosse player now, I joined a team. I'm a lacrosse player. I joined an all-women's lacrosse team, and I call myself a lacrosse player. Never played a game in my life. Don't have one on the schedule. Can I call myself a lacrosse player if I've never even played? I bought all the gear. I'm not even practicing. I just learned the rules, and then I go online and post about it, about all the rules that I've learned and all the ways that I think lacrosse is better than all the other sports. How long do you think people are really going to listen to that? They want to see you playing the game. They want to see you out there actually making moves and seeing you improve and watching how you practice. If you're not practicing a sport, even if you're not even training or practicing, and learning skills. And then if you're not playing games, you can't call yourself that. You are not a lacrosse player if you don't play lacrosse. You know, you're not an activist if you're not being active and doing anything. You know, you don't believe in, you're not a part of the actual party that you claim to be a part of if you're not doing anything in that party. Within that belief system, within that value system, if you're doing absolutely nothing but arguing with people on the internet, then you really don't belong to that group. That really isn't, you might believe in it, but you're not putting it into action. So can you really call yourself that and dedicate yourself to that if all you want to do is fight on the internet? I don't really think so. I don't really see it. I don't buy it. But that's pretty much what I have to say. You know, and I do actually do things. I just, I'm not going to talk about it in detail of what I actually do, And I know there are a lot of people out there that do a lot of things that they don't talk about it. I think it's perfectly fine to keep it to yourself. You don't have to broadcast it to the world. Just like if you had any other beliefs that you believe in, but then you want to practice it, it's a personal thing. You don't have to share with everybody what you're doing. You don't have to, do that. But, if you're just arguing, I'm not convinced. If you're just arguing on the internet, I'm no longer convinced that anybody who just argues on the internet and does no action whatsoever, I'm not at all convinced that they've got a backbone. They've got no leg to really stand on. They're really not hardcore in what they believe. I don't think they are, because they're not putting it into action. And in any other thing, if somebody wasn't putting it into action, you'd just stop listening to them. You'd be like, oh, this person says that this is what they want, but they're not doing anything about it. This person says they're part of this team, and they're not even, playing games. They're not even, competing in matches. Why am I even listening to this person? You wouldn't ask that person who's never competed for any advice on the sport if they've never played it before. It's why is everybody listening to each other? Putting all their energy into this. But that's my 2 cents. My lengthy 2 cents. I know not everybody's gonna agree. I don't care if people agree or don't agree. That's how I see things. And I'm pretty sure I'm right. The proof of what you believe is in your actions. And it doesn't even have to be perfect actions. And maybe you don't really know what you're doing, but you're at least attempting, Right? And tell me I'm wrong. I don't know. You don't really believe in something if you're not doing anything about it. And posting on social media is not doing something about it. It's not. You can bring awareness to things and bring awareness to events and things like that, but posting on social media about your opinions of how you want to fight this or that person, that's a worthless use of time. So I know this is kind of maybe not a very happy, positive topic, but that's kind of where I stand with it. But with that, thanks for listening.